Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're reviewing this tiny camera. Look at it, it's tiny. Let's cue the intro and see what this can do. So this tiny camera, what we're reviewing today, is the Insta360 Go 2, and it really is the size of my thumb. It is so tiny. Now they claim that this is an action camera. This little thing is an action camera. Now it is only 1440p. It's not a 4K camera, but 1440p is still quite a useful little camera. And you shouldn't be able to really see the difference, but of course, we'll test that out. Now this little camera is magnetic as well, so you can stick it onto anything that's metal, like down here, on the tank over here, and it will just stick to it. And the beauty of it is it can be standalone, so you can use it by pressing down. There's a little sort of touch button you can press down here that will activate it to record, and there's a sequence and stuff that you use. But I've had this camera now already for a few months, and now you would have seen me using it in a few of my vlogs, and the reason why I haven't made a review of it really quickly is because I wanted to get to know the camera and what I would use a little camera like this for, because I look at it and go, this is so small. It's like they've designed it to be like a spy camera for like a secret agent, and it can be hidden away. Or they've designed it for the person that climbs up a tree with a pair of binoculars looking at ladies. Anyway, so it is really, really tiny, but also it's become really, really handy. So it comes in this little small container. Now this is a charge bank. This is also a remote, and it has little feet that come out of it just here. It means you can place your camera in like so. Being magnetic, it just pops into place, and you can use it on your desk to film yourself if you so wish. Now this, I said, works as a remote. It's quite clever. This, I'd say, is probably about the size of a pair of Apple earpods, and at the end of the day it is literally a similar kind of design on the aspect of it charges that as you go. Now you'll get roughly around 2 charges at this from full. So you charge this up, it charges the camera. When you run low, you charge it again, and you can charge it again. So you can get plenty of footage on it. Now these little cameras, there's 2 sort of options when you buy these. You can get the 36 gig or you can get the 64 gig. Now this is the 64 gig, and what I'm trying to say is that I've done about an hour's worth of filming on this today, and it's still got a little bit left. But I'd say the 64 gig, you're probably looking at around kind of like a gig an hour ish, and probably a little bit more. So if you look about getting, say, about 70 minutes maximum out this camera in recording time, that is plenty for most of us if you film things in scenes. That gives you kind of an idea. But anyway, you pop this into the case, you press a button, this case will then connect to the camera, and you can just literally then press record, and it's recording. And then again, you can press record. That's the easiest way to do it. But of course, you can pop this out, you can stick it onto something, say the petrol tank, and again I can press for it to connect. This will connect, and once it's connected, you'll press record again, and you'll feel a little vibration come off the camera when it is recording as well. So it's quite a little cool, impressive thing to get in loads of angles that you wouldn't normally use it. Now this little camera comes with a whole heap of accessories, and we're going to try to use some of them as we go along, and I'll obviously put different bits up on the screen, but they're really handy. You get the pendant almost like a necklace, you get something that connects to a hat, and you also get a reusable sticky pad. I don't know how many times that's really reusable, but a reusable sticky pad where you can stick it on and you can slot it in, and it's almost like a security camera. You can angle it in different sort of ways to get the perfect shot. Now the actual camera itself only has 1 microphone in it. Now the microphone seems pretty good, but when you're out filming, I'll tell you now, and there's a bit of wind, it destroys the audio. So you really need to bear that in mind when you're out and about recording. But this claims, like I said, to be a powerful action camera. So let's put it out on the motorbike. Let's put it to test and see how great action camera it really is. Well, what do we think? That is the big question. So I personally run the Insta360 Go 2 like this, facing my helmet, being able to see me. And then what I tend to do is I run the GoPro 10 as what I call my chin camera, my forward facing camera, where you get to see all of that. Now there's a big difference between these, as I've already pointed out, that this camera is only 1440p, where this camera obviously is 5K. Now we're going to look at the difference between the 2 cameras. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap to the GoPro now, and you should in theory get a lot better of an actual picture quality itself, in theory. And then I'm going to swap to the Insta360 Go too. Now that, obviously being lower quality, is still by far enough. Most people still watch their videos in 1080p, and there should be an unbelievable difference unless you've got a super awesome sort of telly or computer or phone that you can really spot the actual difference in. But for the really small little camera, and it's not a big GoPro stuck on here for like forward facing, it takes up quite a chunk of room. It's quite visual as well when you're recording. That is a lot better to have that smaller camera there. And now the case I've put it in does not come in the standard pack that you can get with the camera. This is an extra, and it will cost you a tenner on eBay, Amazon, somewhere like that, to get that. So you need to add that onto the price if you want to use this in this style. But it's so small, it's so little. It's nice to have something that's not so big and chunky. Now I usually actually run the Insta360R, and I use that camera because I can get the perfect view from the camera, because obviously I can zoom out, zoom in, I can have it and move it around, have it where I want to have it, to be able to get as much of an angle as I like on this. Now obviously I'm recording in the pro setting, so I'm on wide as well, and you have to upload from the Insta360 Go to your computer, and then it does its flow state stabilization that makes it lose all that anti-shakiness. And you can also slightly move the camera, and I say slightly, if you go too far you kind of seem to get like a rounded edge to it, so you can move it a little bit to try and get that better position. There is a worry there that of course you're not filming yourself perfectly, so we'll find out in the edit how great this actually is. But it's all things to consider if you think about spending that kind of money, because they are similar kind of money, really. There's not huge amounts in it, but that is a handy little camera. Okay, so in theory this camera should be so handy, it literally sells itself, like you can mount it anywhere. Because of the magnet on the back, I should be able to stick it on things and get randomly amazing shots. So that's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to use the different sort of bits that we've got, from the chest mount to sticking this on a lamppost, to try to create as many sort of little shots and scenes as I can possibly get. That could be a game changer for a vlogger that wants to catch loads of different camera angles, that's constantly trying to put on GoPro mounts and clips and messing around, to just sticking it on stuff and getting those shots. So let's give it a go. Okay, so this here is something that's really cool. So this little clip here can clip onto a cap, onto any kind of hat really, and then you're able to sort of angle where you want the camera to go by this here, clicks forwards and backwards. What's really good, for example for me, is if I'm working on the bike, or somebody's working on the bike for me and I want to document it, I can attach this to the head and I get that kind of like head view, and that's a real hard thing to do when you want to hold an action camera, to be able to capture that. So this is an example of how good this is, clipping into there and then getting those shots that you just wouldn't get without it. So all you got to do literally is pop the camera on, put it on record, or use the remote to put it on record once it's on, pop it into the hat, clicks in just like that, pop it on. I know I look cool, right? And then suddenly you've got a head cam. And then what you can do is if you've got somebody working on your bike and you want to capture, or you're working on your bike, you can put your head cam on, and as you're working away, you've got both hands, they'll see what you see. And I think that's really cool, because I can have a good look around my bike. I could be explaining it. I could be saying things like, this is a Royal Enfield Himalayan. This is designed to go off-road. This is an incredible machine. and I'm away, walking around, waving my hands around like a loony, but capturing all those shots. If I was holding the camera, I'd be losing. And then there's this, the magnetic necklace, pendant, whatever they want to call it. But basically, you pop it over your head, you put it under your jumper, and then this camera just pops out again, clicks into place, and boom, you've basically got a camera stuck to your chest. Now, the one thing I'll say is, for me, I feel having my man boobs, the camera's a little bit pointing up. What could be an issue, it's probably just my man boobs. But if you're wearing, say, a white t-shirt, this would probably be quite hard to see from a little distance away. Again, another opportunity to be full on hands, be able to film from your chest. If you're on your motorbike, for instance, you could pop this on, put the camera there, and you've got a chest mount without having to have a big strap and all the other stuff on. It seems quite strong. I mean, that is not coming off very easily. I'm not saying I trust it at 100 miles an hour, but I'll put record and you'll see what I like to call my boob vision. So I like to call this boob cam, because basically it's a camera next to my man boob. But this is the camera angle you get. Now, for me, it feels like it's slightly pointing up, so you have to dip it down in editing and hope that it doesn't end up causing some kind of issue. But again, if you were, say, running along, chasing a bad guy, being a hero, you capture it all on camera. If you're into doing dancing, like twisting around, again, your hands free, or jazz hands, for example. But joking aside, again, it's quite a cool thing, because if I was down here explaining again the motorcycle, saying that this is a Royal Enfield, this is what real men ride, we feel ultimate strong, sponsored by Wellard hair gel, I can do all that while showing you in my hands different parts of the bike. This is the exhaust. It's a very shiny thing, and a horn that goes beep 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 beep. That is quite a cool thing to have as well, especially as a vlogger, trying to capture and talk through all these different things. And sometimes you do need both hands, so it's quite cool. Well, I've got to say, it is cool, isn't it? I mean, it fits literally all over the place, and it didn't come off. Now, I wouldn't personally want to go bombing along at, say, 60 miles an hour plus with this just stuck on the side of my tank and expecting it to cling on. It's got a strong magnet, definitely. It's got a strong magnet, but it's movable and it's slidable. So please bear that in mind. But it definitely gets the shots and the action sort of that you wouldn't get with your average GoPro and action camera. Now, it's got some really cool features in it, like flow state stabilization. It's basically the anti-shake that you get with every action camera, but it's got that as well, and it uses it all on an editing software. So you plug this in, you download it onto your computer, and then basically it will do its magic, and then it will produce what you want to produce, and you can cut into it. You can slightly move the camera angle slightly up and slightly down as well. So it's pretty cool for that, and that flow state seems to work really well to give it its dues. The other party trick with this is it's got horizon leveling, so no matter what angle that you're putting this at, you are staying at that angle. So if you want to hold this out like some cameras and twist it and turn it to try and get the shot, you're not going to end up losing the kind of twist and get a sideways shot. And obviously, if you're filming with the camera on the side, you will get the 16:9, and if it's on the top, you can then adjust it to 16:9, so you still keep that proper full screen side of it. That's pretty impressive. Also, this unit by itself, not with the case, but by itself, is waterproof up to 4 meters. So when I'm attaching it onto my bike here, for instance, and it's pinning it down with rain, I know I'm going to be perfectly fine. That's pretty awesome. Now, what I'd say is that this camera, personally for me, isn't something I'd mount to the front of my helmet. I would stick with my GoPro. But as a forward-facing camera, something you can click on the front, something that's easy to use, 100%. I'd definitely use that. To capture the angles that you couldn't normally capture, I'd definitely that. For me, this isn't a replacement of my GoPro 10. It's an addition to add to do what the GoPro 10 can't do. To be completely honest, it's small, it's easy, it's great to get out. What I find this camera as well is what it's really, really good for is if you're doing something like working on your bike, or you're trying to capture a shot where you are walking around talking to someone without like shoving a camera in their face, this can attach to the top of it and it can pick all of that up as well. So it's a real extra bonus. I filmed quite a lot of things doing it like that, with it attached to my head as I was walking around places, and it really does work really, really well. So I wouldn't recommend it for me personally as my main camera, but what I turn around and say is that if you're vlogging, you always need to have that second camera, and this is the perfect second camera. This is a camera that you know that you can pop into your pocket and it's going to be charged. You know that that's just going to slide straight into your pocket and you're not going to really notice that it's there. And that's kind of like, again, an awesome thing, because I'm out and I'm going, do you know what, I wish I caught that on camera, boom, I've got my action camera right there in my pocket, ready to go. The other side of thing, what I really liked about it as well, is the amount of angles I could put this in. I literally attached it to a metal lamppost, I attached it to the tank, I attached it near down by the suspension, getting loads of awesome shots. And again, it really is a camera that you can get all that stuff done. So as a second camera, for me, this is absolutely perfect, and it does so much. For an ultimate vlogging setup, I'd probably say you'd get away with this and a GoPro, and you would be literally capturing some amazing shots. So hopefully you can see, like I do, the potential of this camera. It's awesome, it really is, and I am generally impressed, and I can see it being one of these cameras that I use more and more to capture those little shots that I wouldn't normally get. Now, what I'm trying to say is I will put a link for this camera down in the description in case anybody just wants to go and click on it down on Amazon, so you can pick yourself up an Insta360 Go too. But what I'll just say is it's cool. I like it. It's a cool little camera and it's dead handy. So as always, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for being a subscriber. If you haven't clicked that subscribe button, please do. And a massive shout out to my patrons. They're absolutely awesome. They help fund every single episode, and I couldn't do this without their support. If you're interested in becoming a patron to this channel, please check the link down below. You get to see the videos first, you get your names in the credits. It's pretty cool. Also, of course, we have our helmet head shop, so you can get hoodies, t-shirts, and all the other stuff. All I've got to say is I can't wait for the next episode, because it's going to be awesome. So as always, eat pie, ride motorcycles, and be happy, and I will see you in the next bonkers helmet head adventure. Bye bye for now.